Welcome to Conversations with Claire. I'm Claire Chiappetta, and today we're joined by Wendy McGowan Ellis. Wendy is the CEO and founding general partner at Cassandra Capital. She invests in women-led companies and supports them throughout their entrepreneurial journeys. Welcome, Wendy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Claire, for having me here today.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
So let's start with where you grew up and, when did you first start your business?
So I grew up here in Dallas, Texas, went to college at UT Austin and got an economics degree, and came right back to Dallas because just back when I graduated, you could either go to work for Motorola or the state capitol, and that was it. Austin was nothing like it is today. So I came back and then started an entire journey of being either an entrepreneur or in corporate America, back and forth, back and forth. I thought that I couldn't really be an entrepreneur. I don't know. I just
Seems
felt like
too
I needed
hefty a word for you or something?
No, I just didn't feel like that was grown up. Like I felt like I needed to have a corporate job in order to be a grown up. So I left corporate America for the last time in the spring of 2015. But when I was in corporate and then also with my own businesses, a lot of crossover between digital marketing, digital strategy, media, just that kind of world. So that's how I started my career, and that's what it's been over the years, up until this recent venture, which is completely out of left field for me.
Exactly. And you started Lifestyle Frisco
with
your husband.
Yes. So my husband Scott and I started Lifestyle Frisco in the spring of 2013.
Tell us a little bit about it.
So it is an online comprehensive lifestyle media company, online only, for what to do, where to go, and who to know in Frisco, Texas. So when Scott and I moved up to Frisco in 2012, when we got married, we looked at the media landscape, and there was a couple of free publications, print publications that would come to your mailbox. So we said, okay, there's room in the marketplace for something that's purely an online play. Mm-hmm. Scott has a strong technical and developer background. I have the digital strategy and marketing background. So we started in the spring of 2013 and have been publishing 5 days a week ever since, at least one piece of original content. Now, I say that up until COVID. When COVID happened, we scaled back the team. I mean, at our height, we had 20 people on the team. And I was head of sales, and we had, a thriving, growing business and that was approaching a significant, approaching a 7-figure annual revenue, and then COVID shifted that entire business. But now, since we've kind of come back more with focusing on the email side of things, and we've got great traction. We've got a 55% open rate on our emails, so we're coming back.
It's amazing how that period from 20 to 21, 2022 really changed everything for everyone, right?
Right.
I mean, I think, is that when you started thinking, you know what, I want to do something else, something more? And what was it that attracted you to women entrepreneurs is what you ended up, kind of focusing on?
Exactly. So I read a book during COVID called Cassandra Speaks by Elizabeth Lesser, and that's where I ultimately took the name for Cassandra Capital. And to me, that book started creating more concrete ideas in my mind around women, money, power, access, getting your voice in the room, and how all of these things are tied together. Mm-hmm. And so I'm born and raised here in Dallas, and there used to be, from 1995 to 2005, an organization called the Texas Women's Venture Fund.
Yes.
And that was a going concern of about 80 women involved in that who pooled their money. They invested in about 10 companies and had 7 successful exits from that. But they were really ahead of their time because they were all acting like general partners, and it was also everybody's side hustle. So it was just kind of a big.
So it
was
wasn't
a mess.
like a full
Exactly.
focus, I guess. Is
Well,
what you're saying.
and it was more like an angel network.
Got it.
So, but I didn't want to step on any of these women's toes and reinvent a wheel. So I went online trying to find where's the Texas Women's Venture Fund today, and I took Valerie Freeman to coffee, who was one of the founding women who was a part of that. Took her to coffee last summer and said, "Where's this thing? I have beat the internet to death trying to find it. How I want to support. I want to help get this back on the map." And she said, "Wendy, if you want to do something, you're going to have to start something on your own." So that led to the foundation of Cassandra Capital. And it took me all last fall and into this spring to get everything together legally, but I launched in March of this year, the last week of March, Women's History Month. That was important to me.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, that was important to me to launch in March. And we have just started our fundraising efforts, and also identifying who we'll be investing in. So my fund is different in that Fund 1 will be a $20 million fund. 80% of that money will go across 4 other female-led venture capital firms who are also investing in women, and then 20% will stay here in the North Texas area to be directly invested into 2 to 3 female-founded companies.
And what is it about, female-founded companies? Maybe we should go back to the book that inspired you. Was there, I'm fascinated by storytelling. I'm fascinated by how it speaks to people, moves people. But if you could just revisit that, was there something in the storytelling in the book that really moved you?
No, I think not so much the book as just being an entrepreneur myself and knowing how women typically fund their own businesses, which is credit card debt. They take friends and family money. They consider an SBA loan, but maybe they don't want to put their house on the line, or they're not ready for that.
Yes.
So women typically do things that is with their own money, not with other people's money. We just don't think that. And I think that's primarily because we're not, especially here in Texas and in the South, we are not raised to have money conversations traditionally. We're still very much a traditional family unit structure for the most part.
Right.
And so when we as girls are not a part of these money conversations, we don't know what our options are when we become females. And so we stay in jobs longer than we want to, jobs that we don't like. And then when we do decide to finally go out on our own, we use our own resources. So that was more of the impetus to me to educate not only women who are founding companies that they can have access to capital, but also educating these women who are at the SVP level and above at big companies and have their own personal resources. They typically invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, their company's 401k. They get over-indexed in their own company's stock if they're getting
long-term employees.
Right. If they're long-term employees and they're vesting those stocks, they don't think about alternatives, which is real estate investing or VC or even angel investing. So that's a part of my mission as well.
You quoted to me, we had a little conversation before we started, and you talked to me about there was some statistics that shocked me about the amount of women that, and how much they invest and how difficult it is for women to get funding.
Yes. So the women have never garnered more than 2.6% of all venture capital. Last year it dropped back to 1.9. So that's a challenge for me. I mean, and one of my taglines on the website is to punch past the 3% mark for all VC funding for women. And so that's a mission also to move the needle on that. And to me, the way that you really change that dynamic and dialogue is to have more women like me who start funds and then actively seek out and invest in women's businesses. And another underlying theme for me is what I've started calling women's proximity to problems, which means the things that we touch, which are healthcare. We make 85% of the decisions on healthcare. We make 80%.
You mean of all decisions
of all
in
decisions
the family?
In the family, in
Yeah.
the marketplace. Women are making 85% of those decisions. They're making 80% of all consumer decisions, whether that's a car or the daycare or the type of laundry detergent.
The home that's
Anything,
purchased,
the
yeah.
home that's purchased, where that is, all of those decisions are being driven by women, yet there's no funding behind them.
Right.
So it's interesting to me that the four other venture capital funds that I'm investing in, they all have underlying themes around proximity to problems. So they are investing in things like sustainable beauty and fashion, femtech, which is women's healthcare, fintech, anything to do with banking and finance.
Right.
So there's and all the way up to AI and robotics and the future of food and climate. These are
Right.
things that women care about. So it's really it's awesome to watch the businesses that these women are building.
What do you look for? You're starting this journey. You have the funds. I know you've been traveling the country. Meeting with people. But now you're probably going to make some big decisions on what businesses you're going to invest in. So tell me a little bit about what you're looking for in women entrepreneurs or even the business model.
Right. So we're industry agnostic, especially for this 20% over here where we're directly investing in women in the North Texas area. Industry agnostic, but stage specific. So what I mean by that is early growth stage. So the women that I'm looking for are probably doing $750,000 to $1 million in revenue, 2 to 3 years in business. They've got a track record. They've got a product and service out there in the marketplace. But what would they do with an injection of capital of around $1 million? How would that take them from here to where they can really scale and blow their business out?
Yeah, wow. Is there something you're looking for? Entrepreneurs, I've been in a lot of different organizations here in Dallas.
Sure.
I'm sort of very familiar with some of the maybe quirks, or traits. We like to say traits is probably a better word.
Okay.
But what do you see? Is there any commonality among the women that you're speaking with and looking at, or traits that you're looking for in women-led businesses?
Traits that I'm looking for are number one, focus. Like number one, they have to be focused on their business. Committed. Even if it's still, and hopefully it's not, for me, the businesses that I'm looking at, it's not still a side hustle for them.
Right.
But I cannot recommend enough that you start that way. Like, don't just quit your day job unless you have resources, unless you've saved in preparation for this. Start as something on the side and then figure out the ways that you can start scaling that to where you can step away and go full time. So focus, and then scalability. Scalability is a huge thing. Like, it cannot just be something that is just a job that you've created for yourself. It has to be something that you can train, teach, hire others in order to build and grow. And then the third thing that I would say is really important is process documentation. Again, you've got to be able to scale and grow without you yourself as the founder still being in the picture.
Yes.
And that prevents what I call hit by a bus syndrome. If you got hit by a bus, what would happen to your business?
Right.
That's a hard question to think about, but if you aren't planning and structuring your organization to where you could step out, you don't have to be involved, then you're not a scalable company.
What did you feel when you were leading Lifestyle Frisco? What was your favorite part about being an entrepreneur? What attracted you to it? Because you obviously have gone on and you're going to encourage other women to do it.
Right.
And by the way, it is more, I think there's some statistics I looked at, there's more small businesses starting now than there have been, I don't want to say at any other time, but it's significant growth.
So there's a common thread between Lifestyle Frisco and Cassandra Capital in that what excites me the most is having a unique offering that really is something that people can get on board with and latch on to. For Lifestyle Frisco, we were the only digital media company in Frisco, Texas. And so the fact that we were publishing daily through not only written content, but audio podcasting and video production, we were offering those services at a fraction of the price of print. So not only were we permanently online, like once something was produced by us, you're constantly getting you're enjoying the benefits of Google searchability, Google whereas a magazine goes in the recycle bin. Like, yeah, you paid thousands of dollars for the quarter page ad on page 23 of the magazine that somebody probably flipped right past, and then it went in the recycle bin.
Correct.
Whereas when we produce content for our clients, that's still on the site today, and we probably produced it 5 years ago or more. We just had our 10th birthday with Lifestyle Frisco, by the way, here earlier this month. So that uniqueness of offering, and again, that correlates across to now Cassandra Capital. I am the only female-founded venture capital firm investing in women in the North Texas area.
But there are other ones in the United States.
There are others in the United States. However, there are let me put it this way. There are over 200 women-led VC firms across the U.S., but they're not all investing just in women.
Just in women.
Yeah, that shrinks the percentage down quite a bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting mission, and it's exciting as a woman entrepreneur myself.
Yes.
You know what what you've got, what you kind of the road ahead of you. Do you think that there will be, as you move forward, that there will be some commonality among the women that you end up working with? You know, commonality in terms of, we talked about passion and focus.
Right.
But you'll go with services, products.
Yes.
You said industry agnostic.
Yes, industry agnostic, but I will say this, Claire, that, we're not going to invest in 3 businesses that are doing practically the same thing. Like what I'm looking at right now, one is a very high-end daycare business that's coming to Frisco. One is a custom suiting business that's in Frisco. So there's totally different industries that I'm looking at.
And what will your role be once the women have, you've made the deal, you're invested in them. Just talk a little bit about what the journey then looks like for you and the entrepreneur.
So it's going to shift quite a bit. So for that 20% of the portfolio, it will be a convertible note. So a 3-year term note where the women will pay a 10% coupon. Our investors will earn an 8% coupon. The company will keep a 2% management fee, which is industry standard. So no equity stake will be taken in that very first investment. At the end of the 3 years, then we'll start talking about an equity piece, a follow-on round of funding if, we really want to continue the journey with them and continue to scale them even more. But another piece of that relationship will be a board seat for me or for someone on my team.
That's what I wondered about.
Yes. Yeah, board seat on one of those companies. All of those companies that we invest in, yes.
It is one of the hardest journeys I've taken as an entrepreneur. I mean, just the different things and decisions. And do you feel that you learned a lot at Lifestyle Frisco and you must have some expertise and knowledge to share from it's true, you learn a lot from your mistakes.
Oh, yes.
As much as from your success.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So are you asking what mistakes have
No.
I
guess
learned
I would say I think it's better to say like challenges. What challenges would you share, just in a general sense?
A challenge, I think the biggest challenge for any entrepreneur is what my husband and I like to call shiny object syndrome, which is we love to start things. It's but it's the management of things that become, you start getting that itch again. It's like, no, we're staying here, so we've had Lifestyle Frisco, as I said, for 10 years. That's the longest stretch that I've owned a business. I've either sold it or converted it to something else in my past. But venture capital is another long-term play.
Yes.
So, yes. So
it's a long-term play for sure.
It's a long-term play, so I'm committed to be here for the long term.
Yes. And have you used in all the meetings that you've taken and, convincing people to get on your train? Because that's a big part of, you're an entrepreneur kind of funding other entrepreneurs and starting this company.
Right.
Tell me how you have used messaging, most, effectively storytelling. How have you convinced people to come on the journey with you?
So I'm glad you mentioned storytelling. So I do reference the book, Cassandra Speaks, on my website. And I tell the story behind Cassandra, the myth, and how she was blessed with the gift of prophecy, but then also cursed with the fact that no one would believe her and that she eventually went mad with that gift and curse. And then in the book, Elizabeth Lesser then goes on to give us an entire history of how women have spoken and not been listened to or believed throughout history and what that looks like. So the tagline on that book is, when women are the storytellers, the human story changes. So for me, storytelling is something that you have to use in order to get people on board with your mission, and that is woven. But then you have to support it with facts. So
you have to establish a connection.
You have to establish a connection.
It's just a vehicle to get that connection. Right?
It is, and then you have to support it with facts. For my business, I mean, I have to give these numbers and statistics and show people, okay, here's the market opportunity in all of these spaces where women are building businesses, and yet, so your investment is going to be capitalizing on that gigantic market opportunity that's there. But here's the data to support why this is important. And oh, by the way, here's the mission and the passion behind it.
If someone, hopefully many people will see our podcast, how would they get in touch with you if they wanted to find out about funding?
Well, so CassandraCapital.co, not com, it's CassandraCapital.co/about is where you can see our investment thesis. It's where you can download our one-pager. If you go to CassandraCapital.co/portfolio, towards the bottom of the page, if you are a woman-owned business and you're in that sweet spot range that I described earlier, there's a small form to fill out of where you are and all of your information, and you can upload your pitch deck, and I'm happy to take a look at that.
But what other books are you reading right now, or movies, or we say streaming series?
So I'll start first with, because this was one of her questions, I'm just going to touch on it real quick.
Sure.
On who I admire. So I really admire Reese Witherspoon and the entire empire, what she's built through storytelling. So her, and I had to take a note on this, her Hello Sunshine Media has produced Big Little Lies and Little Fires. So Big Little Lies and The Morning Show are the two that she independently produced, but then she's created this whole content empire based off of her book club. So she's brilliant. Her book club, she sees how many people order which books, and then those top selling books then become movies or series that she produces. Develops. So Little Fires Everywhere is one. Gone Girl is another one. She's done this for several books. And I'm like, that's brilliant. She's crowdsourced what's going to sell and what's going to get watched.
Well, but then also, I mean, she's done a really good job producing them, because they're really well done. Well told, I guess.
Exactly. And then her fashion brand, Draper James, it's precious. It's very Southern. Yes. So it's lots of great things. But okay, to your original question of what I'm reading now, I'm currently reading Lessons in Chemistry, and I cannot remember the author's name, but it's set in the 60s, and it's all about a female chemist and her work environment and what that looks like, and you can only imagine what that looks like. It's in the 60s. I mean, picture Mad Men, but she's a chemist.
Wow.
So we'll just leave that
Interesting
there.
That you went it's still nonfiction. Is it fiction or nonfiction?
It's fiction. Okay. It's fiction, but it's based, it's in that time period.
Yeah.
So it's kind of feminist fiction. I'll call it that. It's an excellent book. And then as far as like movies and things, I am obsessed with all things British. So I watched Bridgerton back when it first came out, and then when Queen Charlotte came out, I binged that. That took like a hot minute. And so now I'm re-watching Bridgerton again just to kind of, finish it out.
That's
so,
great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and
Thank
we wish
you,
you
Claire.
great success.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I
all the
appreciate
best.
it. I appreciate it.
Take care.